Part 1. The music had just begun to swell, soft and romantic, wrapping the room in a warmth I had dreamed about since I was a little girl. Every eye was on me as I stood at the entrance, my white dress flowing, my hands trembling just enough to remind me this moment was real. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, the day I finally felt chosen, loved, and safe. But even as I took my first step forward, I noticed her. My mother, sitting stiffly in the front row, her lips pressed into a thin line, her eyes not filled with pride, but something colder. Something I had seen my whole life but hoped, just for today, would disappear. I tried to ignore it. I had spent years trying to earn her approval, trying to become someone she could love without conditions. Today wasn't about her, I told myself. Today was about me and Daniel, the man who had patiently pieced together the broken parts of me, who had taught me that love wasn't supposed to feel like walking on glass. He stood at the altar now, smiling at me, his eyes soft, grounding me. I breathed in slowly, forcing myself to focus on him, not her. The ceremony began, simple and beautiful. Our vows were heartfelt, every word spoken with sincerity. I could feel the guests leaning into the moment, some wiping tears, others smiling warmly. For the first time in years, I felt free. Like maybe I had finally stepped out of my mother's shadow. Like maybe her voice didn't control me anymore. Until it did. It happened so suddenly that for a second, I thought I imagined it. A sharp scrape of a chair. Then her voice, loud, cutting through the room like shattered glass. "She's a thief." Everything froze. At first, no one reacted. It didn't make sense. It couldn't be real. But then she stood up fully, her finger pointed directly at me, her face twisted with anger I knew all too well. "She's been stealing from me for years," she shouted, her voice shaking but strong enough to silence the entire room. "Money, jewelry, everything. And now she thinks she can stand there in white like she's innocent." Gasps rippled through the guests. My heart dropped so violently I thought I might collapse right there. My ears rang, drowning out the murmurs as confusion spread across every face in the room. "Mom," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "What are you doing?" "What I should have done a long time ago," she snapped. Telling the truth, the humiliation burned through me like fire. I could feel every pair of eyes turning from confusion to suspicion. The whispers started, low but unmistakable. My chest tightened, my breath coming in shallow bursts. "This isn't true," I said, louder now, my voice trembling despite my effort to steady it. "I've never stolen anything from you." She laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that echoed in the silence. "Of course you'd deny it. You've always been good at pretending." I looked at Daniel, panic flooding my chest. But he wasn't looking at me the way I feared. There was no doubt in his eyes. No hesitation, only concern, and something else I couldn't quite read yet. "Ma'am," he said calmly, stepping slightly forward, placing himself just enough between me and her. "This is not the time or place for accusations like this." "Oh, it's exactly the time," she shot back. "Before you make the biggest mistake of your life." Her words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I could feel the room shifting, the joy of moments ago replaced with tension so thick it was hard to breathe. "This is my wedding," I said, my voice breaking despite my effort to stay strong. "Why would you do this to me?" Her eyes flickered for a moment, just a second, but then the hardness returned. "Because someone has to stop you." Stop me, like I was something dangerous. Something shameful. The same narrative she had built around me my entire life. I felt myself shrinking under the weight of it, old wounds reopening in an instant. The years of being told I wasn't enough. That I was a problem. That I always ruined everything. And now, she had chosen the one day that mattered most to prove it again. "I didn't steal anything," I repeated, but it sounded weaker this time, even to my own ears. The room was silent, waiting, watching, and then Daniel reached into his pocket. At first, I didn't understand what he was doing. But when he pulled out a small, worn notepad, something shifted. His expression changed, not angry, not panicked. Focused, deliberate. "Actually," he said quietly, flipping it open, "there's something everyone here should hear." My heart skipped. I had no idea what was written on those pages. But something in the way he held it made my mother's face go pale. And for the first time that day, she looked afraid. Part 2. The silence that followed Daniel's words felt heavier than anything that had come before. My mother, who had just moments ago stood so boldly, accusing me without hesitation, now seemed frozen in place. Her confidence cracked, not shattered yet, but enough to reveal something underneath. Something fragile. Daniel, I whispered, unsure, my voice trembling. What is that? He didn't answer me immediately. His eyes were fixed on my mother, calm but unwavering, like he had been waiting for this exact moment. This, he said slowly, lifting the notepad slightly, is something I found 3 months ago. A murmur spread through the guests again, quieter this time, more cautious. Everyone was leaning in now, sensing that whatever was about to happen would change everything. I wasn't looking for it, he continued. I was helping your mother move some old boxes from her storage unit. My stomach tightened. I remembered that day. He had insisted on helping her, even though I had warned him how unpredictable she could be. He had just smiled and said, maybe she just needs someone to be kind to her. Kindness. She had never known what to do with it. I came across a locked box, he said, his voice steady. It didn't seem like much at first. But when it fell, it broke open. My mother's lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. And inside, he added, flipping to a specific page, were receipts. Notes. And a list. A list of what? Someone in the crowd asked quietly. Daniel didn't look away from her. Items reported stolen. A chill ran down my spine. Jewelry. Cash. Even family heirlooms, he continued. All marked with dates, and something else. My mother finally found her voice. Stop, she said sharply. You don't know what you're talking about. But there was no authority left in her tone. Only desperation. Daniel ignored her. Next to each item, he said, his voice tightening just slightly now, there was a name. My breath caught. And that name was hers. The room erupted, not loudly, but with a stunned, collective inhale. The kind of reaction that comes when something impossible suddenly becomes undeniable. No, my mother snapped, shaking her head. That's not true. Daniel finally looked at me then, his expression softening just for a second. There's more. He turned the notepad toward the guests, not fully, but enough to show he wasn't bluffing. I copied everything, he said. Every detail. Why would you do that? She demanded, her voice rising again, but now it sounded unstable. Because something didn't add up, he replied. Every item on that list had been reported missing, but never investigated properly. My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear the next words. And the dates, he said, lined up with moments when you accused your daughter. The truth landed like a storm. I felt it before. I fully understood it. The years of accusations. The constant blame. The way she had always made me feel guilty for things I didn't even understand. It wasn't random. It was planned. You needed a scapegoat, Daniel said quietly. Someone to take the fall. Someone people would believe was capable of it. My mother's face crumpled, but not into remorse. Into rage. You think this proves anything? She snapped. It's just a notebook. It's not just a notebook, Daniel replied. There were receipts tied to pawn shops. Transactions under your name. The whispers turned into shocked conversations now. Guests looking at each other, piecing it together. No, I whispered, my legs barely holding me up. No, this can't be real. But it was. Every memory I had tried to bury came rushing back. Every time she had screamed at me. Every time she had called me a liar. A thief. Every time I had believed her. Tears blurred my vision as I looked at her. You did this to me. For a moment, just one, she hesitated. And that hesitation was all the answer I needed. I had no choice, she said finally, her voice quieter now, almost defensive. You were always difficult. People believed it. Her words hit harder than anything else. Not denial, just justification. The room had completely turned now. The same eyes that had doubted me moments ago were filled with something else. Understanding. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one being judged. I think it's time you leave, Daniel said firmly. She looked around, as if expecting someone, anyone, to defend her. No one did. Her shoulders stiffened, her pride the only thing holding her together now. Without another word, she turned and walked out, her heels echoing against the floor until the sound disappeared completely. Silence followed, but it was different this time. Lighter, softer. Daniel turned to me, gently taking my hands. You don't have to carry that anymore, he said. And just like that, the weight I had held my entire life finally began to lift. Not because she was gone, but because the truth was finally louder than her lies. And for the first time, I was free.